the wonderful world of dodgy movies and TV. I am your host, movie and TV Mistress. Now, I know I've missed a couple of weeks. Apologies. Well, not really. I needed the rest. As I've said before, depression takes it out of you. And strangely, it takes it out of me in the weirdest ways. Plus, we've had a huge heat wave here in Blackpool and I cannot handle the heat. Neither can my head. So I've had migraines. Fun! And nausea and all that other stuff that comes with migraines and heat. Anyway, let's get back to where I was. Now, a couple of weeks ago, there was a weekend when we had probably the last, I think she is the last actress of the golden age, Olivia de Havilland, who everyone kept going on about, Gone with the Wind, ignoring the fact that she was, the first Maid Marian, or the Maid Marian that most people remember with Errol Flynn in Robin Hood. It was all about Gone with the Wind because that's been the thing that's been talked about the most this year. Gone with the Wind. Don't know why. I'm going to avoid that subject, shall we? Anyway, so she died. Now, looking at her career, I was like, nah, she's bound to not done anything really bad. She's a golden age actress. She was 104. I'm not going to bother her. And then Jon Saxon died. Now, Jon Saxon, I grew up knowing him as Nancy's dad in Nightmare on Elm Street. He was the cop in Black Christmas and turns up in loads of films, and of course, most famously, fought alongside Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, which is an awesome film. Now, I could have gone and reviewed one of those films, but everyone's reviewed those films, and I also don't want to get into the whole, how do you review a martial arts film without it coming across as kind of wrong? So, as much as I love Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee movies, I didn't want to get into the whole debate on that. So I chose to have a look at his career, Jon Saxon, and wouldn't you know it, this year we've had some crazy stuff happen. Yes, we've had a pandemic. We're still having a pandemic. It's probably on its second wave, sequels. Crazy stuff going on around the world, and then we had killer hornets. Or what they call murder hornets. Yes, murder hornets. So there was that worry. And of course we're all afraid that the bees are going to die out, so, that's always, save the bees is always on the internet. And then when I was scrolling through his career, back in '78, there came up a movie called The Bees, with this poster. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what to say about that poster, other than the fact it definitely brought my attention to it. So I decided, I should watch the 1978 movie The Bees, that stars Jon Saxon and John Carradine.
There's been a mutation, a new strain, and well, it's out of control.
This is an ultimatum. Either we share this world with them, or we vanish as a species. Would you mind? You're not listening to me.
Now you leave them no choice.
So I watched the film, and as with Hollywood, they always do movies that are similar. Different studios do the same sort of movies and different takes on it. And I was like, I remember when I was a kid, I saw a movie and it starred Michael Caine and it was called A Swarm and it was about killer bees. But I couldn't remember much about it. All other than the fact it was called A Swarm and it starred Michael Caine during that period in his life where he was just saying yes to anything that would pay him. I guess he had bills to pay. So I wasn't thinking much of it. This movie is interesting. The tone is weird. I don't quite know what to make of it. And the ending is kind of abrupt. And let's just get into it, shall we? So the movie is about killer bees. So back in 78 there was this worry that because there was killer bees in South America that they could get, you know, invade North America or the USA. Right? There was also the worry that, you know, American bees weren't strong enough and that they wanted the honey production to be better, so they wanted to breed with said killer bees, because that makes sense. Sure. So this story starts off in, I think it takes place in Mexico at the start, somewhere down south that's not USA, but it's not like, you know, Brazil or anywhere, or Sao Paulo or anything. But anyway, so you see these two, let's call them Mexicans, I don't know, it's not really made clear, breaking into an area with beehives that say danger, danger in lots of different languages, basically do not touch. Yeah, they're dead pretty quick. And we then meet a husband and wife team, and they're responsible, and they're Americans, and they've been sent down there to sort of breed killer bees and look into the killer bees and stuff. Next night, they get attacked by the villagers who aren't happy about the fact there's killer bees down there, as you would, because they're killer bees. And this is where I had a question. Now, I'm afraid of wasps because I'm allergic. Because also, wasps, as most of us know, can sting you multiple times. They don't die when they sting you. But bees, they sting you, they die. Now, they did use bees in this film, real bees, and they removed their stingers so they didn't die and that they didn't sting you. Okay. So, my question is, killer bees, they kill you, I get that they probably are actually killer bees because they kill other bees, and they're probably poisonous to humans, but, like, once they sting you, they're dead. I mean, how many... and anyway, let's get back to the film, shall we? That was my thought. So they're attacked by the villagers. They break in. Bees are set loose. People die, including the professor. And the next thing we have is Jon Saxon holding a meeting about killer bees in New York. Now, the killer bees haven't arrived yet. They're just talking about them and about what happened on their little test site with the professor. And the next thing is we have the professor's wife turning up and getting attacked in a lift by some hoodlums. Now, I have to say, this is the best defense. If you're into this sort of, if you're into bees, this is the best defense. Have killer bees in your vanity case, because when they open it, they'll get attacked by bees. And all that came to my mind was that Eddie Izzard joke, I like my women like I like my coffee, covered in bees. So, she's going to stay with Jon Saxon, and she's recovering from the death of her husband, and her uncle is the other professor played by John Carradine. Now, John Carradine is he's like B-movie royalty. He's like the level above Bruce Campbell. Like, he was in everything. Literally. You know, Frankenstein's daughter and meets Jesse James, and he even did the Monsters Club, not the Monster Squad, the Monsters Club with Vincent Price. I mean, you go back through your horror films and stuff and the B-movies of the 50s and 60s, you're bound to find John Carradine. His son David is a bit like that at times, but then he does films like Kill Bill, so who knows. And I know you're probably all wondering, how long is this scarf? I don't know, I feel like it could be longer. So I've bought some more wool, so I don't know, I'll see. But it's getting there. Maybe I could make it a SNOOD. Anyway. So there's a whole comment about the fact that the professor's wife from the start is recovering from the death of her husband by killer bees, and in between this, the company that they work for says, let's test out killer bees in America and see what happens. And then they get, I don't fully understand what happened, but she brought bees with her in her vanity case. There's a bee in the woods, and then there's bees everywhere. And then there's this random scene of an old man in a park asking some little boys to go collect him some bees, because the bee stings help with his arthritis.
See this brown bag? You think you can catch me some bees and put them in that? Well, you see, I got a little problem with my legs called rheumatism. It hurts all the time.
Yeah, so?
But, you might not believe it, the bee stings makes it feel better. So what I want you to do is to take this paper bag and catch me 4 or 5 bees. Bring them to me. But don't let them sting you. They can only sting one time, then they die.
Okay, you got a deal, but shove over the bread first.
Okay. $1 now, and $1 when you bring me the bees.
Now, if that's a true thing, no. I do not want bees stinging any arthritic knees because, yeah. So, weirdo old man in park asks a little boy to go collect him some bees from the bushes because they'll help with his arthritis. And then we get this scene.
Boys. Just owe you another $1. Now we're going to see if this is going to work.
You mean to tell me you're going to actually let him sting you?
If they will, we'll see. Oh! Oh!
Killer Bees movies and bug movies in general is, unless they're giant bugs, they're just, you kind of like, yeah, you just whack them off, dude. Just, I mean, not whack them off, but you know, shoo them away. Stand still, they'll fly away. They won't attack you if they've got no reason to. And all I kept thinking of was that scene in Tommy Boy.
Oh, what are you doing? I got an idea. What the hell? When I stop the car, run out screaming. No problem. Little trick my dad taught me. Bees! Bees! Bees in the car! Bees everywhere! God, they're huge! They're ripping my flesh off!
Son, roll around. Do you hear me? Roll around on the ground.
Forget that! I'm starting to swell up! Save yourself! Don't be the hero!
Frank, I'm allergic to bees. Me too.
They're huge and they sting crazy!
We'll come back later and check on you. Yeah, in a while.
Save yourself! Your firearms are useless against them!
And then I was thinking, you know, Nicolas Cage came to mind, and then I saw this. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming the director was filming these people and going, okay, so you're being attacked by bees. You're being attacked by bees. Now drop dead. And whoever was doing the bee effects, I don't know, had a sense of humour and decided not to put any bees near that bloke that just collapsed there. Sure. The movie gets a bit weird. People are dying. It's like a pandemic happening. People are like being told, you know, bees are attacking everywhere. Stay away from bees. And in between this, we keep hearing this thing about John Carradine's professor character has figured out how the language of the bees and their bee dance and understands and can communicate with the bees. Okay. He's an old man. Maybe he's gone nuts. But when you know it, it comes back at the end. And this is the problem, and this is why I feel like this film is a bit odd. And the ending feels a bit out of place. Somebody's trying to get to Jon Saxon's character. It feels like there's like government stuff involved. It's kind of like the end of the stuff in that, you know, you're not sure what's going on or who is the bad guy. Well, you are. The bees should be the bad guys. But no. It's the people behind the money. The people who want the honey. Because honey is money and they need stronger bees. And all of a sudden, in front of the UN, you say you need to listen to the bees. And if you listen, all of a sudden it does sound like the bees are talking. And then it ends.
Listen. You have to listen what the bees have to say. Fools, you idiots. Now you leave them no choice.
There are approximately 20 trillion of these bees in existence. And they're multiplying at a rate of 5 billion a day. From now on, they will dominate the earth equally with mankind. Or without mankind, depending on whether or not we accept their terms. I know you will accept. There's no other way to survive.
And I'm just confused. So, I get it. We had a lot of, as I've said before, back in the 70s, there was a lot of Mother Nature fighting back against, you know, us, the human race, or in movies, the Americans. And, okay, sure, bees do a bee dance, we all know that. And sure, they can talk. I mean, I've seen the Bee Movie before I saw The Bees. I don't want the Bee Movie to be a real thing, but apparently the Bee Movie might be inspired by the bees. Who knew? It's not a bad movie. It's quite short. It's an hour and a half, and it's watchable. It's bizarre. I don't know if it's one to watch. I mean, I watched it just because I was like intrigued and thought, I wonder if this is like that Swarm movie that I saw as a kid. So after I watched it, I decided to watch the trailer for The Swarm. And there was me watching it going, oh, okay, so The Swarm was by the guy who did all the disaster movies, you know, Earthquake, Towering Inferno, Poseidon Adventure, all the really good, you know, Lost in Space, Land of the Lost. He did all those, you know, Irving Allen did all these great disaster films back in the day, which were always full of celebrities. And it wasn't just Michael Caine in that film. There was loads of them. When you know it, there was Olivia de Havilland. what year did Swarm come out? Came out the same year as the Bees, 1978. So apparently there was something about B movies that year. And yeah, so me thinking Olivia de Havilland was above bad movies was in probably one of the most well-known dodgy disaster films about killer bees. But I have to say, she looks good. So there you go, there is a connection between Jon Saxon and Olivia de Havilland, other than the fact that they both died on the same day. They both did a film about killer bees back in 1978. And everyone remembers The Swarm, but I bet you nobody has ever heard of the Bees. This year is a crazy year, and it's kind of reminding me of 2017 when all those different musicians died, and I jokingly said to myself, maybe God's just trying to make the perfect band. And maybe this year is just screwing with everyone. So, thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in, thank you for your comments and subscribing, and I hope you continue to comment, subscribe, share the videos, like them, and you know, tell me what you think, talk to me, and make any suggestions. I'm open for all suggestions in regards to reviews, and if you've got a suggestion in regards to the scarf, whether or not it should be a full-on like Doctor Who scarf, or if it should be a snood, let me know. I did, as I say, buy more wool, so I could make it longer. And hopefully I will be back next Sunday for another review. Till then, thanks for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button over here. Comment down below on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All links are in the description. And when you hit the subscribe button, if you hit this notification bell, which is generally around here, that will notify you when I upload, because sometimes I just need a rest. And I'm sorry about that. But I'm not really. I need rest. That's what happens when this stuff happens to you. And I will see you all again next week. Bye for now.